For decades, the alliances that held the world together acted like steel beams, rigid, dependable, unbreakable, but today those beams tremble. And what once ensured stability now forms the very cracks where conflict can ignite. The idea of a third world war has drifted from distant theory to whispered analysis to genuine contingency, planning inside war rooms, foreign ministries, and intelligence circles worldwide. As rival powers rise and posture with sharper rhetoric and expanding arsenals, one question looms larger than all others: if the world plunges into global conflict, which countries could actually remain safe? To answer this, we must redefine what safety means in an era where missiles cross continents and digital warfare ignores borders. Distance no longer guarantees survival. Wealth no longer provides immunity. Not even neutrality is absolute. The safest nations today are not those with the mightiest militaries, but those most likely to stay outside the crossfire entirely as tensions escalate between major blocs, with NATO-aligned states on one side and China and Russia on the other. The world begins to resemble an older and more dangerous past, only now the fractures of history are reinforced with nuclear forces, cyber weapons, and fragile global supply chains. In such a scenario, no country is truly insulated, but some by geography, diplomacy, or self-reliance stand a far better chance than others. Small, stable nations with low strategic importance, natural barriers, and high levels of independence hold the strongest odds of surviving the storm. Remote islands, neutral states, self-sustaining economies, and regions far from any conceivable frontline rise to the top of the list. In this documentary, we explore the 5 traits that make a nation survivable in a global war and identify the countries that embody them, from northern islands swept by icy winds to remote coastlines of the southern hemisphere. We examine who could endure when the rest of the world descends into chaos. But before naming these nations, we must understand the very foundation of safety itself: the difference between nations that collapse instantly and those that still have a fighting chance. Because in a world where weapons strike faster than reactions, the line between disaster and survival may be shaped by geography, governance, and sheer luck. Throughout history, geography has served as humanity's first shield, and in any major global conflict, it may once again play a decisive role. Today, intercontinental weapons can cross oceans in minutes, so distance is no longer enough, but strategic distance, the kind that keeps a nation off every major power's target list, remains priceless. The first layer of survivability comes from remaining isolated from military blocs. Countries like New Zealand, Iceland, and regions of South America sit far from global flashpoints, protected by oceans and mountain ranges. In the early hours of a global war, when missile silos, command hubs, and critical ports would be targeted, these countries would likely remain outside the initial waves. New Zealand stands thousands of kilometers from any major power and maintains no nuclear arsenal while following a peaceful diplomatic posture. Its fertile land, small population, and maritime isolation make it one of the most likely refuges as long as fallout patterns remain manageable. Iceland, anchored in the North Atlantic, shares similar benefits with no standing army, minimal strategic targets, and electricity generated almost entirely from renewable sources. Its remoteness is its armor and strength. In the southern hemisphere, Uruguay, Paraguay, and parts of Argentina enjoy the advantage of low strategic importance. They are too distant, too neutral, and too unthreatening to be prioritized for attack. Meanwhile, regions heavily packed with military assets such as Europe, East Asia, and the Middle East would be instantly vulnerable. There, no border is wide enough and no bunker deep enough to guarantee safety. The harsh irony of modern geography is that the farther a nation is from global power centers, the safer it becomes. If geography forms the walls of safety, neutrality acts as the lock that keeps those walls intact. Neutrality is not simply avoiding war, it is the art of remaining invisible in the political calculations of empires. Switzerland has mastered this art through mountainous terrain, strong diplomacy, financial influence, and a long-standing tradition of non-alignment. Switzerland is useful to all and threatening to none making it an ideal place for survival. Sweden and Austria have historically relied on non-alignment as well, though modern geopolitics complicates their positions. Beyond Europe, Bhutan and Singapore represent different versions of neutrality. Singapore positions itself as a vital trade hub essential to all sides. Bhutan, hidden in the Himalayas, avoids military ambition, entirely focusing instead on cultural preservation and domestic stability. Neutrality is fragile in a world war, but even fragile neutrality can shield a nation if attacking. It provides no advantage. Next, we look beyond geography and alliances to the realm of economic and resource independence in a world where the bombs are not what break nations, rather it is the collapse of supply chains. Food disappears, fuel dries up, electrical grids fail, digital payments freeze, and economies halt. Nations that survive are not the wealthiest, but the ones capable of functioning alone. Australia and New Zealand excel in this category. They can grow their own food, produce their own energy, and govern without heavy reliance on imports. Iceland and Norway possess enormous energy reserves, including geothermal, hydro, and fossil fuel sources that can sustain them even if world markets go silent. Canada also holds immense natural resources, though its proximity to areas of strategic tension complicates its safety. But survival is not just about resources, it is also about organization. Countries like Finland and Switzerland maintain deep civil defense systems, underground shelters, emergency supplies, and decades of contingency planning that few nations can match. In a world where markets collapse overnight, organization becomes the most valuable asset. Superpowers may fall faster than expected while prepared. Small nations may endure longer than anyone imagines. Beyond politics and resources lies the final layer of safety, a balance of distance, self-sufficiency, and social stability. Only a handful of nations achieve all three. New Zealand stands at the top, isolated, self-reliant, and largely uninvolved in global hostility, with its only risk being an overwhelming influx of refugees. Switzerland remains Europe's fortified refuge, stable, well-planned, and diplomatically essential. Iceland, with its renewable energy and cohesive society, offers a cold but dependable sanctuary. Chile, guarded by the Andes and the Pacific, remains strategically irrelevant yet agriculturally capable, an underrated safe haven. And Australia, vast and rich in resources, stands as the last continental refuge, provided it can distance itself from foreign entanglements quickly enough. No country is completely invincible. Fallout, cyber attacks, and economic shockwaves cross borders without hesitation. But in a collapsing world, safety becomes a matter of probabilities, not guarantees. The safest countries in a world war will not be untouched. Instead, they will still function, remain organized, and hold stability when others fall into disorder. In the end, the search for safety is not about borders or weapons. It is about the societies we build long before a crisis arrives, because when history turns its next page, a few quiet nations, distant, prepared, and self-sufficient, may stand as rare reminders that even in an age of total war, peace can survive in certain corners of the earth.